Hello and happy Tuesday, Sipsters. Welcome back to another episode of the Sippin' on Stories podcast with me, Mandy, your host. I'm so delighted that you're here. I hope you've had a wonderful week. I know school has started for a lot of people in a lot of places. And so with that, I feel like the busyness of the summer ends and the busyness of the school year starts. However, I love when the school year starts and there's some form of regular schedule. I do a lot better with a regular schedule. So I'm excited for that. My kids have not yet started school, but it will be nice when they do. Although I will say we have had such a fun summer and I am still always sad when it ends and school starts. You know, it's always pros and cons to everything. Anyway, hope you've had a great week. For today's episode, I have mentioned in a couple of my episodes that I have type 1 diabetes. I mentioned it in my episode with Justine when she was talking about overcoming her eating disorder. If you haven't listened to that one, I mentioned it in my episode with Missy when she was talking about her medical emergency on the flight. If you haven't listened to that, I know I also mentioned it in the episode about biking across America when I was talking to Amber and her son having type 1 diabetes. So I feel like it's come up a lot in episodes, and I've been saying one day I'm sure I'll talk about it. Well, today's that day. I came across Emily Fuller on Instagram and found out that she has type 1 diabetes. And so I asked her if she would come onto the podcast and just talk about it with me, because one thing that I love about having diabetes, and I'm sure it's this way with a lot of people who have different health challenges or, anything in their life, if they find somebody that is going through the same struggle that they are, there's just like an instant friendship and bond. So I knew it would be fun talking about our different diabetes experiences together. So that is what today's episode is. Before going into it, I wasn't quite sure if it was just going to be like each other telling our own stories or if it was more of like a conversation just about diabetes in general. And it was definitely the latter. Just both of us talking about diabetes, what it was like getting diagnosed with diabetes, and adjusting to life with diabetes, having babies with diabetes, all the things. So this conversation was especially enjoyable for me, and I hope that it is for you as well. So here is Emily for today's episode. Hi. I'm glad that worked. I changed a couple of the settings before and I didn't know if it was going to work or not. I was thinking I'd mentioned having type 1 diabetes throughout various episodes, and I'm like, I'll probably get on and share a little bit about it. And so I'm like, it'd be fun to have someone else, talk about it with me. So
yeah, so you're type 1 too?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, cool.
So I always like to ask all of my guests though what their favorite drink is. And so I'm curious what yours is.
I should have thought about this. You even prepped me. I cycle through. I hyperfixate on different drinks at a time, you know?
Yeah, I do too.
The Costco by us sells this clear lemonade protein that I've been blending with milk and some sugar and making my own frosted lemonade at home.
Yeah.
Protein. So that's what I'm on right now, I would say.
That sounds good. A clear orange, is that what you said?
It's a clear lemonade protein
clear lemonade.
powder. Yeah, I don't know. It's good.
Yeah. I've tried a couple clear proteins and I haven't liked them yet, but I've never tried that.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I actually don't know anything about your diabetes journey. So I'm curious, how long you've had it and just tell me the start of it.
Yeah. So I was diagnosed when I was 9, and pretty much my mom said that she remembers me looking weird. I don't remember feeling weird or showing any symptoms. We had just spent a week at this all-inclusive water park, and so I was wiped naturally when we got home. And my dad has type 1, and he was
Oh,
actually
he does.
diagnosed an adult, which that happens every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I think maybe she was probably like extra conscious looking for symptoms in her kids. And I had lost a lot of weight and was peeing all the time and all the things. But she was like, Emily, we should check your blood sugar. And so we did, and it just kept saying error and error. And her brother-in-law works at a hospital, and he was like, yeah, you should take her in. And so they took me in. My blood sugar was like 960. I think it was 964.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And they were like, how are you conscious? You know, how are you not in a coma or seizing or whatever? And then it was 2 weeks in the hospital of them just making me chug so much water and on an insulin IV. And yeah, it was sucked. Like when it was happening, I remember thinking like, this is just a really bad dream and I'm going to wake up from it and I'm going to have a normal childhood.
Yep.
And like, which as a kid, when you're the one going through it, it doesn't seem that sad, but saying that out loud and then like imagining my daughter thinking that breaks my heart. You know what I mean? But yeah, were you diagnosed as a kid too?
No, so I was 19 when I was diagnosed. Okay. So I was more on the adult side.
Yeah.
And they didn't think that, like, I had Googled because I had lost a ton of weight. Like, my sister-in-law asked if I had, like, started an eating disorder because I just looked, like, really scrawny and I was peeing all the time and drinking so much water. Yeah, I was, like, peeing all the time and I was just Googling it. And it was like, you probably have diabetes. And so when I went in, they all thought that probably wasn't the case. They're like, you're not a kid. Like, you're 19, so that can't be what's going on.
Yeah.
But, yeah, my blood sugar was not 9. What'd you say it was? Like 911?
964.
Oh, 9. Yeah. Mine was, I think, in, like, the higher 400s. So it wasn't, like, crazy high in terms of...
Yeah.
Almost 1,000, but it was still high. And they're like, oh, never mind. We're wrong. So...
Dang. Wow, that's so scary. I feel like as an adult, whenever you Google your symptoms, you always want to be wrong, but you were right. That's terrible.
Yeah, I did. And I told my husband, who's a nurse now, and so he, like, looks back and he's like, how did I, like, completely just, like, brush that off? But I was like, I think I have diabetes. And he's like, no, you don't. You don't have diabetes. And then I told my sister-in-law that I thought I had diabetes, like, when she had asked me why I had lost so much weight. She's like, no, that can't be it. Like, here's a ho-ho. Like, gave me, like, more sugar. I'm like, okay. So
That's just like the biggest told you so moment you can hang over their heads forever.
I know. My husband's very, like, he's right a lot of the time, but that's when I'm like, remember that time that I was right? Because I have anxiety about a lot of things. So he's like, you don't need to worry. But I'm like, no, there was the one time I needed to worry and I was right. So.
Oh my gosh. Dang. Yeah. I feel like that's almost harder getting diagnosed as I mean, you can look at it however you want. Like, you can probably see good and bad from both sides. But I feel like since I got it as a kid, it just was my life. And I had the habits down and the lifestyle changes down. But, like, getting it when you're 19, I feel like you still have to adapt quite a bit.
Yeah, it was a big adjustment. But it is, yeah, it's funny being on the adult side because I'm like, ooh, it probably was so much easier for me as an adult than a kid because I didn't have...
We're so optimistic.
Yeah. Like, I could do, like, all the high school things without having to worry about any of like how to manage the diabetes through it, you know?
Yeah, no, that's true.
So do you remember like what the adjustment was like for you when you got home? Like, did they like overhaul what you were eating? Like, what was that?
They had, you have to do the logbook of every single detail of everything. That was such a pain in the butt.
Oh yeah.
So like how many carbs I was eating, and I was just like having to fixate on the nutrition labels of everything, which was annoying. And then they told me, they were like, so what's going to happen is you're going to go home and in about a week or so, your pancreas is going to try to start producing insulin again. And they call it the honeymoon period or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were like, that isn't going to last. Like, just be aware of it now. And they were so clear. But then I remember going home, a week went by and my numbers were so steady. And I was like, it's going away.
Yeah.
And I was like, so excited.
I could be a normal kid.
Yeah, exactly. I like didn't tell my mom because I wanted to surprise her. And then I'm like, this is so heartbreaking saying it out loud. But then, yeah, that ended. And I think I remember my first moment where I was like, I felt like I could tackle it and it was more empowering was we were at a pool party. And I don't know about you, but whenever I go swimming, the sun just like sucks the life out of me and I'm always low. Like, that happens so often.
Really? See, mine, no, I feel like I'm high, like, all the time. I always think I'm going to be low because I'm like, I'm in the sun, I'm sweating, I'm being active, and then I'm not.
You're never, okay.
No.
Well, for me, I usually get pretty low. And as a kid, we had a pool in our backyard. I remember feeling kind of dizzy. And this was the first time I had like that sensation ever before. And I ran inside and I checked my blood sugar and it said like 60 or something. And I got food. And I did this all and I hadn't told my parents. And then they got home or I saw them eventually. And I was like, I thought like I was, or I felt like I was low. And I went and checked it and I was right. And I got food and it like, and I was just recounting everything that had just happened, and I was so proud of myself because I had recognized it and dealt with it on my own, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was really good at, like, cheering me on for my wins, and he would jokingly so he is from Norway, and there's just a couple things that he says where it's like, that would be taken so out of context if other people were hearing that. Like, that is not anyways, we'd call each other needle buddies, and he started it, and I was
Uh-huh.
like now that I've grown up, I'm like, that sounds like a drug reference.
But
But
I like it though. As far as
and
diabetes, I like it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was, and so he'd be like, "How's my needle buddy doing?" Or like, "How are your numbers today?" He basically just made me feel like I had like a buddy and a friend in with me with everything I was going through and stuff. And so that was really cool. I don't know, that was really helpful. And we would joke like if we were out and about and I forgot my insulin, he had his.
Yeah, that would be nice.
He was like, "If I get a blood disorder, you're going down with me." And I'm like, "Okay, we're in it for life." Like, I got your genes, so hopefully we're good. But I don't know. It was just fun to have someone to laugh about everything with, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anyone in your family with it?
My aunt has it, and she got it when she was like 3.
Oh my gosh.
But as far as like the rest of my extended family, I've got some type 2 diabetics, but there's no other type 1s so far.
Dang.
Mm-hmm. Is it just your dad in your family?
It's my dad and then both grandpas.
Oh,
And
really?
from what I've read, it's a lot more likely for you to get it if it's in the paternal gene. So, like, if the dad has it, there's like a 1 in 5 chance that one of the kids will get it.
That's so interesting. Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have 3 siblings and none of them have it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember freaking out about this before getting pregnant. Like, is this going to affect my kids? But apparently, if the woman has it, it depends on how old you are when you get pregnant or when you deliver or something like that. But basically, it starts at like a 1 in 20 chance. And then if you're either getting pregnant like after 32, then it's like a 1 in 25 and it just gets smaller. Or maybe it's the opposite of what I'm saying. But basically, the percentages fluctuate and it's just less than if you're a guy.
Yeah, I remember looking it up because, yeah, I was 19. I had just gotten married like 6 months before that or something.
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh.
yeah, so I was, which was also nice because I didn't have to worry about it through like the marriage or the honeymoon or any of that. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm glad I didn't have it then. But I had assumed I'd start a family like pretty quickly.
Right.
And so as soon as I like found that out, I felt like it was so unknown. Like all the information that I was seeing was like confusing. And like, well, your kids probably won't get it. But then I'd see families like yours that have like multiple people in them have it. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a girl. So I used to volunteer as like teaching the kids music at our church.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only there for a little bit before we moved, but there was a girl there that I saw had a Dexcom on her arm. And I came up to her. Her name was Honey. She's like the cutest little girl.
That's
She's
adorable.
also 9. I know. Anyways, I came up to her and I was like, "Honey, like, do you have type 1 diabetes?" And she's like, "Uh-huh." And I'm like, "When were you diagnosed?" And I was excited to like talk to her about it and like, because I didn't know that she had it.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she was like, "I got it this week." And I just, my heart broke. Like, I had to go into a separate room and I just started sobbing because I was just all of a sudden re-feeling all of these emotions that I hadn't felt in decades, you know,
Mm-hmm.
since I first gotten it. I was just like, man, I know everything that her parents are feeling and that she's feeling right now. And anyways, I ended up messaging her mom and visiting with her, and I've just stayed like actively involved with them. One of my followers sent me a DM saying that Barbie had just come out with like a type 1
yeah.
diabetes. You saw that?
Yeah.
And so I told her mom, and then they sent me a picture. They picked it up like the next day at
Oh, that's so
Walmart.
cute.
Anyways, it's such an emotional journey, but
It is. Yeah, I remember similar. So I was in the primary presidency in our ward, and there was a kid in there that had got diagnosed, which was interesting. She was a twin, an identical twin, and her sister didn't get it, but she got it. And her mom like reached out to me, and she was like, "Yeah, I don't know, just like needing some like support, I guess, and just like,
Yeah.
how do you do it? And it was nice because I had a baby at the time. And so she was able to be like, oh, I'm glad to see like you can still have a family. And I'm like, you can, like, you can still have a happy life. But it is an emotional
Yeah.
thing, but it is fun. Like anytime you see a Dexcom anywhere, it's like I feel like you're friends.
It's one of us. All
Yeah.
of a sudden, you just know like the suckiest part of their life without having to talk.
So you do the shot, right?
Uh-huh.
Have you ever done the insulin pump?
I haven't. I think it's just for my dad got on it and he loved it and now
Mm-hmm.
he's off it again. But for me, I want like as little attached to me as possible. And the idea of like having to I don't know, I just feel more or less robotic just doing insulin shots.
Yeah, that makes sense. I got the pump like pretty quickly, which part of me was grateful that I had the like I did the shot. Like I know, like I had to
Yeah.
get used to the shot for a minute, but I got on it probably within the first like 6 months of having it. So it's like all I know. And it feels scary to think about going to the shot. Like there's a comfort to the pump,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I can see both sides. I see people, I think I posted the like how many shots do I take in a day
Yeah, I saw
video.
that one. Uh huh. Yeah.
And the video blew up. People are like, I can't imagine this. And I'm like, the needle's like this big, and you put it in a fatty place. You usually don't feel it. Every
Yeah.
once in a while, you get something bad and it's painful, but like, I don't know. It's just so I just don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, my mom. So she came with me when I got diagnosed to the
Uh-huh.
doctor, and she has like the biggest phobia of needles
Really?
all the time. And so I'm like, they're trying to give me my first shot there at the doctor, and she's like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, like I can't even do this. I'm like,
She's like, can I leave?
yeah. And I'm like, yeah, the needle's like this big. Like it's not bad. I'm grateful I don't have
Yeah.
that phobia. That would not be
Yeah.
good. But
Yeah, before I left the hospital, I don't know if they did this with you, you'll have to let me know, but they wouldn't discharge me until I could give myself a shot with a pen and a syringe and like every form of giving yourself insulin. I needed to
mhm.
show that I could do it on my own before they let me go.
Yeah,
Did you do
mine,
that?
it was like kind of crazy because, yeah, so I went into the doctor. It was right before Christmas. And at the time I was at college, and the insurance that I had was through the college, and they had a clinic, and that was the only place that like you could go with that insurance. And
Okay.
so I was like, okay, I have to go. They were about to close for Christmas break. So it was like December 22nd. I was like, they close in 2 hours or 1 hour or whatever. I'm like, I have to go now before Christmas break. Like, I am
Yeah.
not doing well. And so when I got there and they like checked my blood sugar, everyone was like ready to check out for the day. So it was like super
Oh no.
rushed. And then they
Yeah.
were like, well, we'll send you to the hospital and they can like draw your blood. But then I just like went home with some
Hmm.
insulin and needles, and I had
That
no
was
idea.
it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. And they're
Oh my
like,
gosh.
okay, just take this much insulin for your meals or insulin for your meals. And I'm like, okay, like I was so
There was
oblivious.
no crash course or anything.
No, and I
Wow.
remember like I still don't remember being bad because it's like as soon as I took that insulin, I wasn't thirsty anymore, and I was like, my life is significantly better all of a sudden. But yeah, I'm like, I eventually met with like a diabetic educator, but it must not have been for a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, I don't
Dang.
know how I went through that.
That's such a different experience.
Yeah, it is. Granted, I'm like, was it because I wasn't like, I'm sure if I was a kid, it probably would have been a little bit different too. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone's experience is so different. Something that I do hate is whenever, like when I gave birth to Grace, I was in the hospital and they have, like they bring you your menu and you check the box of whatever food you want them to bring you and everything. And I
yeah,
was like, chicken noodle soup with some toast. And I was like, I requested some things, I think a PB&J, and I sent it and they disregarded all of it. And they brought
yeah.
me like a warm cheese stick. And I was like, this is offensive. Like I can eat whatever I want. You know what I mean?
Yes, I remember my first. So I have 4 kids,
Okay.
and the first, I don't remember if it was the first and second or just the first, but yeah, they had
Mhm.
me on the diabetic diet, and I was like, this is crap. Like this, like
Dumbest thing
where's
ever.
my desserts? Like I just gave birth. Like where's the good food? And then the last, like I know the last 2 pregnancies, he was like, just tell him you don't need it, and I'm like, okay. And I was like, well, that was better, but yeah,
Hmm.
that was annoying. What were your pregnancies like when, like, were you afraid to get pregnant? And what was that like for you?
Yeah, so when I first got pregnant, I saw the positive test, and my immediate reaction was like a full-blown panic attack because I was like, all of a sudden, I'm growing a baby. And the average non-diabetic pregnancy, they're like, eat healthy, take care of yourself as best you can. But if something's wrong with the baby, it's not your fault. It's out of your hands. Like, don't stress yourself about that.
Yeah.
Versus when you're diabetic and you get pregnant, they're like, so this list of 20 possible things could go wrong with the baby if you don't control your blood sugar.
Like,
and it is
great.
intense. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like, just that cortisol is spiking my blood sugar.
Were you trying to get pregnant, or was it an accidental kind of?
It was like I was on birth control for the first like 2.5 years, and then I just felt like I should go off it, and I assumed that was God's way of just being like, maybe it's time. But we also weren't actively tracking anything.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Anyways, and so that happened, and I called Johnny, and I'm like hypervent. I don't even remember the phone call. It was all kind of a fever dream because I was so stressed out about it, you know. Anyways, I was kind of hyperventilating, and I was like, you need to come home right now. And he's like, I don't know, I need to go home right now. He thought I was being held at gunpoint or something. So he steps on it, speeds home. He was like, I even passed a cop, and I was hoping he would follow me home so that he could be there in case anything was happening. Anyways, it was a little bit of a commute. So by the time he got home, I had a camera set up to record his reaction, and I had a pregnancy test on the counter, and he was like, what is it? Are you okay? And I was like, look at the counter. He looks at the test, and he looks at me, and the first thing he says, no one ever saw this reaction video because I was like, this, it's just, there's not enough context. He looks at me, and he's like, never do that again. Because he thought I was going to die. Like, legitimately, he was so afraid. Anyways, and by that time I had calmed down, and I was all giddy about being pregnant and stuff. And I was like, aren't you happy? And
like, I thought you were dead.
Yeah, literally. Anyways, so that was what it was like first finding out. And then he was super sweet. Like, he did so much research about diabetes and pregnancy. And I actually joined a Facebook group that's type 1 diabetics and pregnancy.
Oh,
if anyone's diabetic, do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm in a type 1 diabetes and pregnancy page. So maybe it's the same one, but
probably the same. I feel like there can't, I don't know. Yeah, anyways, I was posting like 5 times in there a day because I had so many questions, but then also being able to read other people's experiences was so valuable. And like knowing that I could expect being super low after I have her all the time when I'm breastfeeding, like no one told me that before. And so through the pregnancy, knowing that insulin resistance was going to go up, my ratios were constantly going to be changing. Yet I needed to manage an A1C that's like 5.8 or lower. Like that freaked me out. But Johnny came up with a meal plan. One day I came home and he was like, I found a Harvard study that talked about all the nutrients, like the best things you could eat when being pregnant to help the baby. He's like, so I made a meal plan, and he made me basically the same meals every single day. Like he cooked them and everything.
That's so sweet.
He's like, the idea is that if your numbers start to change with the insulin you give yourself, you'll know that it's time to bump your ratios because that's the only variable is that you're pregnant. Anyway, so he did that, and I was able to I think it was like 5.6, 5.4. That was like my average.
Yeah, that's
pregnancy.
Great.
It was amazing, and he was so freaking supportive. And then delivery was great. I was able to do just normal vaginal. I was induced, but I also wanted to be induced. And I was 3 centimeters at 38 weeks, so I think she would have come early anyways.
Yeah, was she big?
But she was 8 pounds and 3 ounces, but I was also 8 pounds, and so was my husband, and we weren't, like, our parents weren't diabetic, or I guess my mom was.
So it could just be like the genetic part of it.
Yeah, I think so. But what about your babies? What was your delivery like?
Every single one of them were different. So really my first one, the labor was super long, and I do feel like my sugars were probably the best that pregnancy. Like all my pregnancies, they were pretty much around in the 6 ranges, you know? So I don't remember exactly what hers was, but that pregnancy was like pretty good. I mean, and I also didn't have very many kids. So like going in, I have to do like 1 million NSTs and stuff towards the end. Like it didn't feel that bad because I wasn't working and I didn't have any other kids. And then like all the other ones, they really weren't bad. My third one, there was like birth complications with that. I mean, he was big. And so I obviously like blame myself a lot for it. Like, well, what could I have done differently? And he's fine. But I remember my fourth one though, like she was a surprise. I was like, okay, because it is a toll. I don't realize like how much of emotional like mental toll, like having to be like on your diabetes that much, like 24/7 through the pregnancy. Like it's
Oh my
exhausting.
God. I tell people that's probably one of the hardest, most like mentally extenuating things I've ever had to do.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, and when you're in it, you're just kind of in it. And it's not until I'm out of it that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can breathe for a second, even though, like you said, your blood sugars are so low right at the beginning, like your body's
Yeah.
adjusting. But when I got pregnant with my fourth, because I didn't know if I was going to have a fourth at the time, I assumed, but I'm like, I'm going to wait a bit. Like, give me a second to like breathe. All my kids are like 22 months apart. I got pregnant not on purpose with her. And it was like, there was like an 18-month difference. And I just remember like crying because I was like, I can't do the diabetes portion again. Like, it's not even the baby or like any of that. It's like, it's just so exhausting. Like, I can't do it again. Like, I'm so tired. But then I got into it, and that pregnancy was rough for a whole other bunch of reasons. Like, not because of the diabetes, but then you just do it, and it's all you know, and it's fine. But yeah, I'm done now, and I'm like, I am glad that I'm not, like, I have to obviously think about it every day, but it's not like another life is affected by me, you know?
Yeah. I remember the
Yeah.
first time I had a high blood sugar after having my daughter, and I cried. And Johnny was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm just so happy that this isn't hurting my baby."
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's maybe deteriorating me from the inside, but I
It's
don't
killing
care.
me, but yeah.
Like, I can take it. Yeah, but especially like just the instincts and thoughts you have as a mother just around your baby. Like you said, the anticipation of it is so, like, you know how hard it is, and it's terrifying, and there's so much anxiety. But then the baby's growing in you, and you're like, okay, we don't have time to be sad for ourselves. We
Yep.
just need to act like, yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I guess that is being a mother, right? You just forget about yourself and you do what you have to do, but still, it is
Yeah.
tiring. What would you
Yeah.
say is like, have you ever had a low that you like pass out or can't move, like a serious low?
I haven't yet. I mean, there was one time I felt kind of weird. Whenever I get really low, my tongue will get kind of numb. I
Yeah.
don't know if yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty low. I checked on my glucometer because my Dexcom just said low.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's off and it's actually like 45 or something. But I think my glucometer said 28. And I just turned to Johnny and I was like, don't freak out. I think I'm going to be fine, but I'm really low right now. And a series of things could happen in the next little bit. I'm just going to get some juice and sit on the couch. But like, if I
Yeah.
do seize or like pass out, someone knows what's going on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, and it was fine. But I haven't passed out. Have you ever passed out from lows?
I have not, but this is actually, it's not like the things that people say that stick with you that you like don't
Yeah.
think about. But when I first got diagnosed, the diabetic educator that was like coaching me through it, she said, I have never met a diabetic that has not passed out. Like, you will pass out. And I'm like,
That is so freaky.
and so, like, you know, I'm 15 years later, I've never passed out, but that's still in
And
the
now
back
you
of
know
my
someone
head.
that also has it.
I know. So I'm like, there are people that don't pass out, but it was like instilled in my brain right at the beginning that like you will pass out. And so I haven't. I have had some pretty lows. I think, yeah, my low was probably like 26, 28.
Mhm.
I didn't pass out then, but in my head, like, everybody does it. So it's nice to hear, no, not everybody. Even those who've had it, you know, since they were a kid.
I wonder if some people are more susceptible or not. Because
Yeah.
in our new ward, the first girl that I sat next to in Relief Society had a Dexcom.
Oh, really?
And already I was talking to her and I was like, we just clicked. And then I saw the Dexcom and I was like, no way. Like, this is a dream come true. It's a sign, you know?
Yeah.
We're in the right place. But yeah, she's diabetic. She just had her fourth, like, I guess he's almost a year old. But anyways, and she said that with each pregnancy, this is a question I have for you too, because first of all, meeting her, seeing that she had 4 kids brought me so much hope, because in this type 1 diabetes and pregnancy Facebook group that I was talking about, I didn't see people ever have more than 2 or 3 kids
Oh, no.
because it's so hard.
Yeah.
And so seeing her just had her 4th, maybe is going to go for another 1 or 2, like she wants a big family. That brought me so much hope. But she explained to me, she was like, with each baby, the more, like with the first baby, her first baby had some complications unrelated to diabetes, but she had some lows when she would breastfeed or when she would pump. And then with her next baby, she had lows for like a month or 2 of breastfeeding. And then she started to pass out from the lows. And she's like, I would wake up on the floor with my husband, like waterboarding me with apple juice. She's like, it's
Yeah.
like going down my hair. And she's like, so then I taught him to like rub honey on my gums. And so then he woke me up from conscious, like to be conscious again with honey on my gums. And then the third kid, she was passing out from like day 2 or 3. And so with her
Wow.
fourth, she's just doing formula. But she was like, the lows just got worse with each baby. And so by the time I got my fourth, she's like, I'm just not going to breastfeed. Like, I'm not going to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I experienced lows with Grace. Like, I remember when she was a few weeks old, she was breastfeeding in the middle of the night, and Johnny was holding that 64-ounce jug of apple juice with like a super long straw, and I had to be chugging it as Grace was chugging me to like stay conscious, you know, because I was so low. I remember seeing that and being like, that's going to last us a while. And it literally lasted 2 or 3 days. Like, so much juice. Anyways, and I know that was just my first, so I'm like, are my lows going to get worse? Did you notice anything like that with your babies?
I didn't. I mean, and this note too, like all my breastfeeding journeys were different. So my first one, unrelated to the diabetes, she was like the worst nurser ever. Like, she would not latch. We tried forever, would not do it. So I exclusively pumped for a year with her. And so like, I don't know if like the pumping would be different from the breastfeeding, but I feel like I had like average lows. I don't know what that means, but I felt like they weren't like crazy, but they were definitely there. And then my next two, really my next 3, I kind of only pumped or breastfed. They actually breastfed a little bit towards the beginning. And then your body kind of like regulates itself. But I don't remember there being like
it getting worse.
Yeah. I remember it was probably about the same. And I had my little like cart that I just like always had like, I drank those little like sugar drinks because they're just fast, and so I'd always have a ton of those next to me. But yeah, I don't remember it getting any worse.
Okay, that's good to know. It's good to collect experiences because it's so rare to find like another mom with multiple kids with diabetes. So it's good to know. Maybe it won't be that way for me.
I know.
We'll see.
I hope not. But yeah, speaking of the type 1 diabetes page, yeah, I remember like there'd be people who'd be like, my doctor says I shouldn't have any more. Like, doctors can be so like, why do you say these things? Like, why are you telling people? Like, I don't know. Anyway, like, say, like, I shouldn't have any more. It's not healthy. I could, whatever. And I would just comment and be like, I have 4 healthy kids. Like, they're all doing well. Like, you can have another one. Like, I don't know. It's just sad the things that are said, I feel like, too.
No, it's true. It's true. Yeah, it's crazy. I was lucky. I had a really good, so I went to my OB, and then I also had an MFM.
Oh, yeah.
That I went to, and she was amazing. Like, I think, I don't know if she was just trying to make me feel good so that I'd go back to her, because that definitely worked. But she would always be like, your numbers, your averages are a lot better than my average client, and like your baby's growing healthily. And anyways, she made me feel really good about myself and was very uplifting. And like all the words that she used were just all the right things, thankfully.
I love that. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, it was a great office. It's just dropped while we're talking.
Oh, I never had an MFM, but I had an OB whose son was diabetic. And so I was like, I don't know. I felt like maybe he would have a better like understanding of what diabetes actually is like. And because I started with one OB and he was like intense. And I remember him like when I first went to him being like, kind of how we hear about the doctors of being like, if your blood sugars are high, this could have like very just like intense. And I was like, ooh, I don't like this. And then one time he wasn't there and I had to go to this other one. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm changing. Like, I never went back to him. And I'm glad, because I'm like, I don't think my mental health would have done well with that doctor for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. So did you just go to the OB for your entire pregnancy, and they did all the NST scans and like all the ultrasounds towards the end and everything?
Yeah. I mean, I had my like endocrinologist that I would see instead of every 3 months. I'd go see them every single month, you know. But I just had those 2 doctors that were kind of through it. I'm also curious. So with diabetes, it has given me like a lot of like mental challenges. I would say, like, I was talking to my sister-in-law, and when I first got diagnosed with diabetes, and I'm like, I wonder if this is like how it felt for you as a child, but as an adult, I all of a sudden felt like I didn't have any control over some things. And so all of a sudden, like, where I didn't have like weird like eating things, all of a sudden it was like, oh, you can't eat that. And so like I would find myself like binge eating chocolate and like binge eating like all these things. And that didn't last forever, but it did like, I don't know, I feel like it affected the way I view food sometimes. Like, has it done that for you at all?
It's interesting that you bring that up because my other friends that are diabetic have said similar things to me about like going from like living a life where you just eat what you want and then all of a sudden you have to fixate on every nutrition label and everything. I think maybe this is because I got it as a kid and it felt more, and I was more adaptable. I was just able to take that with me into teenage girlhood and into adulthood rather than, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that affected it differently. I would say the only thing that it has given me is like, I get so turned off to fruit snacks or juice boxes or applesauce. If anyone ever offers me like a snack, I'm like, do not put that near me. Like, I just think about the nights when I've had to drink so much I wanted to throw up. And
yeah. What is your like go-to low blood sugar?
I mean, juice is convenient. Right now we have juice boxes upstairs because I don't want to like go downstairs, chug juice out of the fridge in the middle of the night. Yeah, those are easy. I like, the Mott's fruit snacks.
Yeah.
I just got myself those. I'm like, these are such a treat. I love it. Like, it makes it a little less painful, and I'm like, okay, this is a good snack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. How about you?
I started with like those, the like big Smartie type things, the like sugar pill tablets.
Oh, yeah.
I started with those. I'm like, I can never eat another one of those again. Like even Smarties. I'm like, don't give me a Smartie. Like it just is so disgusting. So yeah, my go-to is like juice, which I hate juice. I don't really like it. And so now like having to drink it for a low blood sugar. But yeah, like it's easy and fast, but I'm like, don't love that. Fruit snack though, you're right. Like I don't love all fruit snacks, but there are some that I'm like, give me a fruit snack and I'll eat that right up. But yeah, I would say mostly I drink the little like glucose shot drinks just because they're taste like a melted popsicle. They're not like my favorite, but they're fast and I know like it'll get me up,
No, that's good. Yeah, I don't know. I have to rotate through or else I start just feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to make this as fun of an experience as I can because this sucks and I can't do anything about it. Since I got my wisdom teeth out like a week ago, I've had to like, there were a couple nights when I was low in the middle of the night and I'm like half awake and my jaw hurts and I can't suck on a straw. And so one night I was like half awake. Okay, don't judge me. But I see the juice box in like our closet and I'm like, I have to open this somehow, but I can't. I wasn't about to like poke the hole and squirt in my mouth because that just wouldn't work well. And so I saw toenail clippers and I was like, I almost went for them and I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. So then I turned to an eyebrow razor, an old eyebrow razor that I have. And I'm like, okay, that's less bad. And I was just like sawing it open, going down my elbows. And I woke up like, I'm like, what happened last night? Because I just felt sticky everywhere. And I'm like, well, I fixed the low, I guess, but that was a mess.
Yeah. There are some times when I'm like, I eat so much. I like wake up and my blood sugar's just like been sky high or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, apparently I was in a state of like, I didn't really care at the time. It was just going crazy, in the kitchen, whatever I can find.
Like, I'd rather wake up high than not get any sleep tonight. Yeah. Like, I think that so often. Yeah.
The next thing I want to ask, kind of similar along with the eating, have you like lived with, because this is another thing. So my husband, he works he's gone at nights. And so I often fear that I'm going to like pass out while he's gone and no one will like be there to help me, Yeah. And like, I feel like it's caused anxiety with like a lot of, I'm like really in general, like we live with the risk of like, we could die any day, like if anything goes wrong. So has that like given you any anxiety with low blood sugars or thinking about anything like that?
I don't think so. I am very happy for you. I don't know. I had the the Dexcom follow app for a while just with my parents when I was at home and stuff. But honestly, now that you bring it up, I'm like, now that I have a kid, I probably should have Johnny on that.
Yeah.
And I'm just now thinking about it, even though she's like 2.5 years old, because that would be terrible. Yeah.
Oh, can you hear that?
Is that your phone?
That was my insulin pump yelling at me. But yeah, and it probably got worse when I had kids too, because I was like, my kids like like when they're so little, I'm like, they need to know. But yeah, my husband follows me on like the Dexcom follow app or whatever, so that definitely provides a lot of like, okay, somebody would know, even if it was in the morning. But yeah,
and it's nice because the girl that I told you that's in my ward, she lives, I mean, obviously she's super close to us, and so like if I think she talked about getting me on it and like being on each other's because her mother-in-law's on it and her mom's on it, and just having like as many people around you to know. But then at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to be a burden. But Johnny's like, this is literally your life.
I
Like,
know.
don't
And they
even.
understand it. Like, it's their life too. They would know.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
mm-hmm.
Exactly. But yeah, I should probably do that.
I'm trying to think if there's like any other questions that I could think of around like diabetes. I don't know. It is just like an interesting community to be in. And it's just fun to
I have a
talk to
question.
someone. Yes.
Do you feel like having diabetes has helped you be healthier, or it's been like harder to be healthy because of it? Like health goals outside of,
Oh,
A1C.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you this too. So yeah, I feel like it goes like kind of both sometimes. Because, like I said, when I first got diagnosed, it was like, well, now I'm just going to eat all the junk, you know? Again, that didn't
Mm,
last very long, but I felt like it did the opposite. But
mm.
now, like, I try and be fairly healthy, you know? And
Yeah.
so I've run like, like half marathons and stuff.
Oh,
But
that's
then
awesome.
I feel like when I do that, like if I run, my blood sugar will plummet and I'll have to like eat. And of course, I can't eat like something with no sugar in it. So it's like, I don't know, it feels like an endless cycle of like everything I'm doing is not doing anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
it's,
there was a. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh, I was just saying, but as far as like regular day to day, yeah, I don't know if, because it's not like I purposefully like change my diet around it anymore. Where like I
Yeah.
used to, like with the family, it's kind of like I'm just gonna have regular foods now. Like I really don't make a lot of adjustments for it, you know, just give myself the insulin.
Yeah.
But do you?
Yeah, I was gonna say I do not run half marathons,
Well,
but there was a point where, like last year, I wanted to get into running in the winter. So me and Johnny would go running. And the amount of times we'd leave the house and then we'd have to just turn around and come back home because my blood sugar was dropping like consistently.
yeah,
That was kind of a pain. And so then I started running with a fanny pack with a bunch of snacks, and I was like, like you run to like burn energy, and I thought maybe I'd get a little toned with like the extra calories being burned. I'm like, here I am having to like eat sugar while I'm running. Like it's kind of
like
frustrating.
yeah,
But then he was so good. He was like, it's about the heart health. Like think about that. And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
But
know.
I remember after I had Grace, I was ready to like lose weight postpartum, and after I had her, I was never like ever in very good shape my entire life. But now that I had this kid, I was like, she's gonna grow up and follow my habits. Like I want to be healthy and strong. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to lose fat. And so we started counting calories, and Johnny he lost 80 pounds. He
Oh
gained a
my
lot of weight.
gosh. Oh
Yeah. I'll have to some pictures. But anyway, so we, started counting calories and everything together, losing weight postpartum. And then I remember there were so many nights where like you meet your calories perfectly, and I'm like, I'm so satisfied. Like I did really good eating protein and vegetables and filling up on the good things. It was like a perfect day of eating, but then I was like 60 double arrows down or something, and I was
mm-hmm.
like, I literally have to binge eat or I will die. Like I
Yep.
hate that I was being put into those situations before, you know what I mean? Or repeatedly. So that was kind of hard. And then I had to balance like, well, then I'll save extra calories in case I get low. But then the end of the day comes and my blood sugar is perfect, but I definitely have not eaten enough. And
Yeah.
so it was like constantly, I don't know. I figured it out, but that was annoying having to, there's like a whole other element that you just have to account for, whenever doing anything like that.
Yeah. I would say like that's one of my biggest frustrations is because, and it's not even just running, like weightlifting or anything like that. It was
Mhm.
the same. It's like my blood sugar would plummet, and then I'd be like, well, now I have to eat back everything that I've like, you try and burn off after your pregnancies, you try, and it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm eating more than had I just not exercised at all. So it's like frustrating, but then also dealing with like, do you ever have like a rebound high blood sugars? Like your blood sugar will be really good, but then like an hour or two like after you exercise, it like shoots up high for no reason. Have you had that?
You know why that happens?
I have tried to figure out. I don't know why.
Okay, this maybe I don't know. You could watch it and see if it's the same with you. But I learned this was when I was like counting calories and everything. I learned if you are working out fasted, what it does is it takes energy from your fat and it turns it into glucose. And so I would sometimes work out fasted because if I was like, I'm not going to eat breakfast if I'm not hungry. I'm going to wait till I can like listen to my body. Some mornings were like that. And so then I'd work out fasted and then I'd have a crazy spike. But it was because it was generating glucose from my fat stores. And so all it takes is like taking a bite of a banana or a half a banana and you won't spike.
Okay,
Because it has.
I'm trying, maybe that's what it was. I'm like trying to remember. I'm like, did I eat before? And I have no idea, but maybe that's what it is. Because I would sit there and Google it and be like, why does this keep happening? And I didn't find that information. So,
and I didn't notice until I saw some workout Instagram guy talking about like what happens in your body if you work out fasted versus fasted and like the pros and cons of both. And I was like, that's probably what I was doing. So then I paid attention to it and I noticed that was totally the case. Like all you need is the tiniest bit of carb before your workout to prevent it. Anyways, you'll have to let me know if you see any difference or try it.
Yeah, I should. I've been like, the last 2 months, I've been like exercising very sporadically just because summer's crazy.
Yes.
But I'll start in my routine again and we'll see how that affects it.
Yeah, I'm so curious because I'm like, I could be totally wrong. This could be a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but I'm
it
curious.
Sounds right. It sounds right to me. Like, yeah.
Seems like it makes sense.
It really does. Yeah, because you don't want to eat a ton before you exercise. So maybe I wasn't really eating.
Yeah, and I noticed it's also more like that happens when you strength train and weightlift more so than cardio. Because cardio, I feel like you always just drop low because it just increases your insulin sensitivity.
Yeah.
I've had to like, I feel like people at my gym, so I go to Burn Boot Camp, and so it's like the same classes and same people and everything. People just know what's happening. I'm like sometimes in the corner just eating my fruit snacks in the middle of the workout.
I can't move.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, yeah, it's interesting how it affects all.
It is. Do you have any other questions that you could think of?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
This was so fun. I love connecting over this.
It is. Yeah. I'm like, it really does feel like instant friendship if there's anybody that's diabetic because nobody else really knows. Like even my husband, like he's around, he like witnesses it, but he doesn't actually understand the like all day long constant battle with it, or it's not always a battle every day, but some days it is, and you're just like roller coaster and you're like, I hate this so much right now. But
yeah no, it's the other night Johnny was like, do you want to go on a walk? And it was like the evening and the weather was nice and my blood sugar was fine in that moment, but the entire day prior, or the entire day that same day, I had either been super high or super low, and I felt like nothing could control it. And because of that, I don't know about you, but if I'm just like up and down the whole day, I just feel so just woozy and not nauseous, but just like physically just so gross and not good. Like I just want to lay on the couch and rot and not do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know, my blood sugar's been crazy today. And he was like, oh, do you need some food? And I'm like, no, nothing needs to be fixed in this moment. But I just feel like trash because of the day. And so, yeah, sometimes that is really hard. But
yeah, there was on 4th of July. I had my family over for 4th of July. So I'm, trying to be a good host. And I was like, I just feel not good. And I ended up realizing that my insulin pump had died and I did not realize it had died. So I checked my blood sugar and it was like pretty high. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, that really explains why I feel like crap right now. And so I'm like, I gotta go take a nap. And so like, cause I was like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up, like not feeling good. So it did come down, but then the whole rest of the night, I'm like, it just wipes you out when your body is, like that. So
no, it really.
Were you in ketoacidosis when you went to the hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I was there for so long. They were like, drink more water. And I just felt like I was going to throw up because I was drinking so much water all the time. But it just took a long time for all of it to go.
Yeah, I've been grateful. I wasn't at that point when I went in. But, yeah.
Yeah. Have you gotten ketones since getting it? Like, do you ever...
I haven't ever checked them. Like, I really don't have a lot of time. Like, the 4th of July, I was like, it's rare that I feel that way. But I've never been high enough or, like, long enough to where I'm like, I need to go to the hospital. Like, I'm not doing well,
Yeah.
Which I'm grateful for. But
I have needed to go to the hospital. Like, the only time I've been in the hospital for diabetes was when I was diagnosed. But there are some times where I will, like, eat so much sugar one day and I will be terrible at managing my blood sugar. And then all of a sudden I try to start managing it and it seems like my insulin is just dissolving, probably because it is. And so they have little strips that you can pee on and it says if you have ketones or not, and you can just chug water, get rid of it. So I've had to do that, like, maybe 3 or 4 times since having it. But it's never, I don't know, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I haven't got the ketone strips. I probably should, but I've never done them. But yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise I'm like, I gotta drink so much water. I start doing some squats to try and like get it pumping through my body, you know.
Uh-huh.
I'm like,
Yeah.
hopefully this will work. Then
Yeah. No, it
yeah.
is crazy. There was one day my blood sugar was super high, and it was literally just high. Like Dexcom just said high for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did a ton of insulin, and I was like, I can wait for this to come down for 2 or 3 hours. And I was like, or I could just go on a run, and I want to see how fast it kicks in after I
Yeah.
go on a run. But yeah, I started running, and I just ran a mile, and literally within 3 minutes of running, I was going down double arrows, like
Yeah.
back to normal. I'm like, that is so good to know. Like I
Can
don't
just
know.
do
I
that.
guess I'll do sprints if
Yep.
I'm in this situation again. But yeah,
Well, it was really good talking to you. That was really fun for me. And
it's so fun.
it has.
So yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. You have a great day. And I'll talk to you
You
soon.
too.
Thanks, Emily.
All right, so nice to meet you.
You
Have
too.
a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.
It really is so nice to have a conversation with somebody who knows exactly what it is like to live as a type 1 diabetic. It has definitely not been easy. I basically already said everything about diabetes in the episode. But when I was first like researching it, I just did not feel good at the beginning. You guys, my symptoms were extreme thirst and weight loss. I remember sitting in a college class. This was like finals. It was finals. And I was sitting in this class and I was taking my final test. And all I could think about was wanting to be done with the test. Not because I was ready to be done with the class, but because I was so tired of having to just fill up my water bottle over and over and over again sitting in this class. It's like all I could focus on. Meanwhile, I'm trying to take this test and all I could think about was like, oh my gosh, I need another drink of water. I just need another drink of water. My tongue literally felt like a dry sponge. It was so miserable. And I would leave and I'd fill up my water bottle multiple times during like the 50-minute class. And it was just so terrible. And I could tell I was losing weight. I wasn't very big, but like my pants were starting not to fit, like they were falling down on me. And I just knew like something is wrong. And I finally told my husband about it and he's like, no. And I was telling people around me and nobody could really believe it. I mean, I didn't know really anything about type 1 diabetes at this point in my life. And nor did the people around me. And so me saying like, well, I think I might have diabetes because when you plug in extreme thirst, going to the bathroom a lot, losing weight, there's pretty much one thing that pops up and that is diabetes. And so I had researched it for a couple weeks probably before I finally went to the doctor. And I am so grateful that I listened to myself because all the voices around me were saying, no, you're okay. But I knew that I was not, and I hate going to the doctor. I don't want to say I'm a hypochondriac because that makes it seem like, like it's a little bit more extreme, but I do find myself like getting really caught up in any like symptoms that I may have and jumping to worst case scenario and then like just constantly thinking something's wrong with me. But in this case, I knew that something was actually wrong. And so I was at work one day and my mom came in to see me. And I was just telling her like how I was not feeling. And she could see at this point, like I was not looking well. And she was like, Mandy, let's go to the doctor. And I finally was like, okay. And so I called my friend Michelle, who has been on this podcast, and said, I worked with her. And I said, I need you to come in and cover for me. It's time I go to the doctor. And she ran over and she said, okay. And I left, went to the doctor, and it was the most like, it was so weird. I know I mentioned this, but it was like all the doctors and nurses were like all surrounding me in this one little tiny room. Like, we did not think that you actually had this. And it definitely made it feel like a little bit intense. But then also the fact that, like I said in the episode, I didn't really get much help. I remember leaving with my insulin vial and my needles, and I went to my in-laws' house that night and we're like talking, and I was kind of a little bit still, I think, not understanding the magnitude of what I had just found out. And they were still questioning if it was type 2 as well, because I was 19. A lot of times people don't get diagnosed when they're older. They get diagnosed when they're kids. And so they wanted to do the blood work and everything to make sure that I was type 1. And so I wasn't quite sure, but I remember sitting there at my in-laws' house, and they just said, "Oh, so like, how's the day?" And I was like, "Well, I found out I have diabetes today." And I just said it like so like nonchalantly, because I was like, I wasn't fully comprehending how much of a lifestyle change it was going to be for me. And that is indeed what it has been. A big lifestyle change with a lot of challenges. There are times that I'm grateful for it and grateful that I'm strong enough to handle it and that it's not something else. I will take diabetes any day over some of the other things that I could have. But there's also a lot of struggles. I mentioned it, I know, when I was talking to Emily, but there has been the fear instilled in me that it is a real possibility every single day that I could die, that I could pass out and not wake up. And that has definitely affected me in my life, and especially since having kids. And I don't want them to ever have to live with that, but thankfully I've never passed out. I have a lot of supportive people around me and in my corner. I have my husband, who, of course, is a nurse, as you know, because he's been on this podcast telling about his, tales of a trauma nurse. And I have people I can call if I'm ever alone and worrying that I'm having a low blood sugar. My mom is always there, always answers the call for me when I just say like, "Hey, I just need you to talk to me while I'm struggling with this low blood sugar, just to make sure like I don't die." Ooh, getting a little emotional over here, you guys. I've also got one of the best friends ever who like puts in her calendar when my diabetes anniversary is, and will text me, and it just lets me know that I'm cared for and I'm looked out for, and there are people that are there to support me. And like I said, I just love knowing that there are other people that know what this is like. I am not completely alone in this trial and struggle. And some days that really is what it feels like. But other days, it's okay. And I have a great life, and I really can't complain. So if you have made it this long, because this was, I feel like, a little bit longer of an episode, especially if you're like, wow, I never thought I would hear so much about diabetes from two people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me and this podcast. I really can't express to you how grateful I am and how fun this has been for me to share these stories and connect with people and new people and, old people, all the people. It's just one of my favorite things. So if you have a story that you would like to share on this podcast, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out to me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Sippin' on Stories Podcast. You can DM me. I also have a highlight that just says submit a story. In there, there's a Google Doc form that you can fill out. So I have your number, have your information for me to reach out, or you can email me, sippinonstoriespodcast@gmail.com. Love you guys. I will talk to you again next week for a new episode of the Sippin' on Stories podcast.